Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Influenced by Kim. I'm your host, Hofit Kim Cohen Meyers, and today I want to talk about synchronicities, the different types of synchronicities, how they come about, what do they mean, all the things. I just recently have been having a lot of synchronicities, and if you can hear it in my voice, I'm just smiling because I love it when this happens intentionally. So without further ado, let's dive into this topic. Hi, everyone. Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to synchronicities, there are two different types of people. There are the people that are going to tell you that it's random. It just randomly happened. What a coincidence. There's no such things as coincidence. Let's just throw it out there. One of my favorite movies is V for Vendetta. And in V for Vendetta, one of the reasons why I love it so much is A, it's an epic movie and an epic story. And like, oh my God, beyond its years. B, it has amazing quotes. And one of my favorite quotes from V for Vendetta is, I, like God, don't play with dice and I don't believe in coincidences. Boom. That's said by V to EV. If you haven't watched V for Vendetta, definitely go watch it. That has been my favorite movie, like way beyond that. Way before that movie has become like Earth's reality. I also think it's really interesting, like the types of movies that we're drawn to. Like my favorite types of movies are like really well written, really well scripted, really deep and like beyond its times. Like if you watch Vanilla Sky, it's one of my favorite. The Hunger Games, V for Vendetta. It's funny. I used to have this timeline in my life where I would meet someone and to try to understand like the type of person that they are they like an in-depth person? Do they have depth inside of their soul? One of the questions that I would ask people that I would meet is, what is your favorite movie? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, give me 3. And if they said like some stupid shit or like some horror film, I'm like, wow. Like out of all the movies in the world, like we kind of can't be friends. It's so disappointing when you think someone is so deep and then they just tell you that their favorite movie is like, I don't know, something ridiculous, something like so pathetic and practical, some I don't know, some stupid fucking romantic movie or like some disgusting, horrific horror film. You're like, damn, we can't be friends. Anyways, that quote from V for Vendetta, I, like God, don't play with dice, aka I do not gamble, and I don't play in coincidences. Love that quote, love that movie. I remember I can watch a movie once and then just remember the entire fucking script. It's actually obscene. Like people are always amazed and shocked. Like, how did you remember that? I'm like, I don't know. I was just really paying attention. But so there are people that are going to tell you that synchronicities are random and coincidences, which actually does not exist. And then you have the people that like really love synchronistic moments, serendipity moments. They love the synchronicities of life. They're so into it. But you always are going to have like these two types of people. I love everyone, but I'm just like an opinionated human being and I just can't help myself sometimes. And I feel like that's why you guys love me. Like that's what I always, anytime I've done a poll on Instagram and asked like, why do you follow me? People always say like one of the top reasons that people follow me on social media for so many years is because they always write, I say the things that they wish they can say, but they can't. And so they're so like entertained and obsessed with the fact that I just have no filter and I just say what I have to say and it's always uncensored and I just say what I think and I don't sugarcoat it and I just say it for what it is. So while my mom or like other people in my life would think that that's like a bad trait, I actually think it's a good trait to just be blunt and honest. And so if you believe that coincidences are random, I'm sorry, but like go read like a spiritual book or go have a spiritual awakening. Anyways, let's talk about synchronicities. So in most recent times, wild things have been happening in my life on a daily basis. And I want to shed some light. There's different types of synchronicities. What's been happening to me, hold on, let me like rewind real quick. There are different types of synchronicities. There are synchronicities where, you keep seeing sequences of numbers like 444, 888, it's popping up everywhere. Then you have these synchronicities where you're thinking of things and then they just appear in front of you. And then you just have life's synchronicities where you're not aware of. So there are different types of categories of synchronicities. And I think that in maybe different episodes, I'll kind of dive deep into different ones. Okay. So first and foremost, everything is synchronized always and forever. This is like, I feel like there's so many different layers to synchronicities. Okay. I'll put it like that. There's so many different layers to synchronicities, just like there's so many different layers of awareness. And no matter how aware you think you are, there's so much, it's like an onion that you have to peel. It's like, even though you think like you're so effing aware right now, and this is like, you just know everything right now. I love when life proves you wrong, like myself included. Like I love when I'm like, I know everything. But I've learned through the years, like when I was younger, I used to say, I know everything. And then I would learn that like, whoa, there's another layer to like this planet or to consciousness or like to spirituality. It's like another spiritual awakening. I'm like, whoa, when I thought I knew, like I didn't know, but like now I know. And then the universe proves me wrong. And they're like, nope, there's another level of awareness. And I've just peeled so many layers of the onion of levels of awareness. So to the point where like many years back, I've just decided that I will never be able to peel all the layers of the onion, but of awareness. I have crazy levels of awareness. There's so many different categories of awareness, but it's like, I'm just always looking forward for the new level of awareness that I'm going to like tap into. And does that kind of make sense? It's kind of deep. If you know, you know. A lot of people are like, no, I am aware. And I'm like, honey, no, you're not. Because I used to be you like 10 years ago. But that's okay. That's okay. But there's so many different layers of awareness and types of awareness. And just like there's different levels of awareness, there are different levels and layers to synchronicities. Like I broke that down, synchronicities. So here's the thing. Just like the law of attraction is always happening 24/7, it's always happening, whether you're aware of it or not, right? Back to awareness, whether you're aware of it or not, the law of attraction is always working. It's literally the law. There's like laws to the universe, law of gravity. The law of attraction is just like the law of how the world works. Like attracts like, the law of attraction is always working. On that same token, okay, synchronicities, there is no like an official law for synchronicities, and maybe there is, and I'm just not aware of it. Awareness. But just like the law of attraction is always working and like attracts like, right? Same thing with synchronicities. Synchronicities are always working, not against you. They're always working for you. Everything in life is synchronistic, whether you're aware of it or not. But you can choose to be tapped into that field and into that like vibration of just realizing and knowing that everything is synchronistic, you know? When you walk out of your house, the time that you walk out of your house, the time that you wait for the elevator, the time the elevator comes, who comes inside of the elevator, where your car is parked, who was parked next to, like the person that you encounter, you get into your car and the song that's on the radio, and, like the encounter that you have and the stop sign that you stopped by and the red light that like probably saved you from a crazy accident. And, and then you walk into this place and the people that are there, everything is synchronistic. Whether you're aware of it or not, everything is happening in a beautiful, harmonic, synchronistic timeline for you in your lifetime. And in your life story, you are the star of your life and everything's happening for you, not to you. Everything's always happening for you. And so the beauty of this planet, may I add, is like everything that you do is synchronistic, right? Like we just described, like every little thing has its reason and its purpose and its meaning on why there was a delay at that light and why the line took longer and there was 20 people in line, but normally there's only 5 people in line. Everything is synchronistic, whether you realize it or not. And while everything is synchronistic in your matrix and in your world, just like in the Truman Show, right, that movie, the beautiful thing about planet Earth that's like beyond, it's literally beyond, is that while everything is synchronistic in your reality, everything is synchronistic in everyone else's reality as well when they are the star of their own movie. Like it's just everything is intertwined in the most beautiful, harmonic way possible, even when you're not realizing it, even though you think sometimes shit is happening against you. Why did the universe do this to me? Why did God do this to me? Like it's all happening for you. It really is. Sometimes we don't know it, like in that very moment in timeline, like why we had to wait a half an hour in line for this or why this had to happen. But I promise you, there's always something bigger and better happening. I made a different podcast episode about how I manifested my dream apartment in Times Square. And if you listen to that story, you'll understand that there's like sometimes a lot of times something even bigger and greater happening for you and you haven't even realized it because in this very moment in time, it hasn't happened yet. Okay. But so synchronistically, everything is happening in the most harmonicous way. And like, whether you believe in God or whether you believe in the universe or whether you believe that this planet is garbage and this planet is evil and it's hell on earth and it's horrible and there's so many evil deep state players and cabal and like there's just so many bad, evil things that happen here, whether you believe that or not. And that can also be like your reality. Like you couldn't believe that. And there could be multiple realities where multiple things exist. And while some people might think that this planet is horrible and there's so many bad things and people are dying and people are being murdered and like all these things are happening, at the same time, there is the duality in everything in life. There's the good and there's the bad. And there are things that are so profound and so effing magical on this planet that cannot be explained. They just are. They're just magic, magnificent. And one of those things, you guys, is synchronicities. Like the fact that everything is calculated by a higher power, by the universe, by God, but whatever you believe in, that everything is so perfectly calculated in my reality. Everywhere I go, anything that I do, no matter what it is, everything is but it's also for you, but it's also for your mom and for your dad and for every human being on planet Earth like that. And it's like, that's just so profound for me. That is like one of the most coolest fucking things that happens here on Earth, on the plus side, on the beautiful high vibrational things, the mysteries of planet Earth, like that in and of itself is just wow. Like, have you ever thought about that truly? And if you've never thought about it, well, I just created a new layer of awareness into your sphere. And I also want to say this, if you've been listening to my podcast, if you've been enjoying some of the episodes, don't forget to subscribe and follow for more. But also, if you are on Apple or Spotify, it would mean so much to me if you hear something that resonates, if something makes you feel good. I would love it if you can give my podcast 5 stars. It's like a little thing. I mean, I would love for you to give it 5 stars. If you want to give it 1 and be an asshole, like that's fine too. But oh my God, I cracked myself up. Anyways, but if anything resonates with you and it just makes you feel good, it would mean the world to me because it does actually help in like ratings and help more people discover this channel. So if you could do that, that would be great. If you want to share things, insights or episodes on social media, that would also be great. I would really appreciate it. But let's go back. So that's like one of the most profoundest things is that synchronistic moments are constantly happening, whether you're tapped into the field or not. And some of us are aware that so some people are aware that everything happens for a reason and some people aren't. Some people, it takes them longer to tap into that field of realizing. And I feel like that's the first step of peeling the first layer of onion into the synchronistic world is actually realizing that everything's connected and everything happens for a reason, right? I think it takes later on to realize that everything is happening for you, not to you. That was a lesson that I had to learn like way later on. I want to say that I learned that in like my early 30s, somewhere around there. And I would have to repeatedly say that to myself when anything was going on, like everything's happening for me, not to me. Everything's happening for me, not to me. Everything's happening for me, not to me. And then I would try to make the meaning and understand like why this is happening for me. Sometimes you can decode it instantly and other times it takes longer to figure out why it's happening for you, but you just got to trust and have faith in the field. But layer number 1 is actually understanding that everything's connected. Everything has a meaning. And so I feel like one of our missions, one of our like things here to do on planet Earth is to actually connect to the meanings. Try to understand the meaning. Like, why are things happening? How do they connect? How do they intertwine? What is the universe or God trying to teach you, show you, lead you to? Where is this going? Like, that is me 24/7. I'm always like in that field. I feel like that would be like the next step into the awareness level is like actually like, because there are things that we learn. And if you don't want it to go through one ear and out the other, we actually have to appeal it and apply it to our lives, right? And so when you start acknowledging that, like, first of all, I think that like even having that awareness, like when you actually start to conceptualize and bring into your awareness level and into your field that like everything is actually happening for a reason, it just gives you a different perspective on life. it actually makes life so much more enjoyable, because when bad things happen, you're like, okay, this horrible thing that happened, but how is this serving me? How is this is happening? If I know that everything is happening for me, how is this serving my higher self, my higher purpose? And after a while, when you do that for so long and you start operating like that, you actually start programming your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. And then you start thinking and operating like that on autopilot, which is so amazing and deep and life-changing and transformative. And it literally makes life worth living. B, it just makes you become a better, happier, positive person. And it just raises your vibration and frequency, because you're always operating from a higher vibrational place, connecting meanings and things. Okay, so we have these types of levels of awareness. And then we have we have that type of level of synchronicities. And then we have synchronicities where the universe nudges at us and they show things to us, like numbers, angel numbers, the sequences of numbers that you see everywhere, like 444, 1111, 1234. You see it everywhere you go. And I love that topic in and of itself. I am going to create an entire podcast episode, because if you know me or you've been following me for quite some time or even a minute, and you've ever seen me on video, then you'll always know that I've been, for over a year now, I wear a necklace that says 444, and it's my angel number. But I do have multiple angel numbers. And what's actually funny is I never listened to podcasts before 2018 or 19. I think it's 2019. I never listened to podcasts before that. And the first podcast that I ever listened to was The Manifestation Babe. And the first episode that I've ever heard of hers, literally the first episode I heard from a podcast, and the first person, Manifestation Babe, she had an episode about synchronistic numbers, seeing the same number on repeat. And I listened to that episode, and it was whoa, it changed my life. And it just made me want to keep listening to her podcast. And through the years, while a lot has changed, I don't really listen to podcasts. I'm not going to lie. If there is one person that I listen to, it's the Manifestation Babe. I love her podcast. I always have, since I discovered it. And it was really that episode about seeing sequences of numbers that really got me into her world. So now that I've had so much experiences with synchronistic numbers, I want to create a podcast in and of itself alone, because it just deserves its own space and place. But I get lots of messages through synchronistic numbers that the universe is sending me. And I always looked at it. Another movie reference is Interstellar. If you ever watched Interstellar has a very great depiction of 5D. Matthew McConaughey's character, that movie is so effing deep. And what's interesting too, talking about synchronicities and the perfect time, is my brother told me to watch that movie right when it came out. I remember I would call my brother and ask him, hey, is there a movie you recommend? And he's like, you should watch Interstellar. And I was like, what is that about? And he's like, some space movie. And I'm so glad that I actually didn't listen to him and watch it when he told me to. I left it in my subconscious mind. I wasn't ready to watch it, but I was ready to be told about it. And then I watched it I think a year later or 2 years later. And it was in the perfect synchronistic time, because had I watched it before, it wouldn't have hit the same. I wouldn't have understood it. But I watched Interstellar when I was learning about 5D for the first time in 2019. That was a whole spiritual awakening year. And I'm so glad that I waited. But in the movie Interstellar, while I don't want to give away the movie, but there are scenes where basically there are messages that are implanted in the fifth dimension that manifest into the third dimension, 3D, into this reality, into the physical realm. We live in 3D, FYI. And so there are messages that are implanted from a higher dimension that are sent here. And so whenever I see synchronistic numbers and things, I know that it's the universe and God and, your ancestors and your guides and whatever it is. But I also feel like there is a place that's your higher self implanted these seeds for you from the other side to nudge at you and let you know you're on the right path. And that's all I really, even though there's the synchronistic moments where everything, like I said, everything is synchronistic and everything is happening always synchronistically. But when you're actually tapped into the field, okay, which is a different realm, you're tapped into the field where you're actually noticing infinite amount of synchronicities happening to you every fucking day, all the time, all day, every day. And you're aware of it. That's when you're tapped into a different vibration. And I feel like our higher self is like infinite consciousness. It's here, it's nowhere, it's everywhere at the same exact time. Our higher self is part of our soul. It is our soul, essentially. It's our soul. It's like all the database. It's all the lives. It's all past lives. It's like it taps into the Akashic records. There's so many things that I could say about our higher self, but it's like our infinite soul that's whole, that's complete, that's all the things. And I feel like a lot of times when we see synchronistic numbers or when we have synchronicities like deja vu, which is another synchronistic thing, or when you're just seeing like, you think about this person and you walk into a place and all of a sudden you see them and then you thought about this one thing and all of a sudden it pops up in front of you. Like, I feel like those are things that we implanted, like our higher self implanted it for us from the other side, from a different realm to manifest into our 3D reality to let us know and to nudge at us and to let us know like you're on the right path. Keep going. That's what I feel like awareness levels of synchronistic moments are. So I believe that when you see numbers, like your higher self, like the other side, the other room, the other fields, higher dimensions, like have implanted those messages to let you know here on the 3D realm when you're just like pondering and wondering, like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Like, do I even know what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Like, they will nudge at you and send you, like, I feel like anytime you're on the right path, like you will get messages from the other side letting you know in this 3D physical realm, like you're on the right path, keep going, don't stop. So sometimes that comes in numbers, like angel numbers. Other times it comes in deja vu form, and other times it comes in endless synchronistic moments on an everyday base that you are aware of. It can be one event like that, hold on, there's so many brackets where that fits in. You could have like one synchronistic moment just once, okay? There's like that, just once, and you're like, whoa, but it was like profound, right? And then you can have like 10 or 20 a day. You can even have 30 or 40 a day. I know that sounds insane, but I've done it, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that could just last for one day. Then you have a different level where you have like 10 to 20 synchronistic, even 5 to 20 synchronistic moments every single day for a week. Then you have like timelines where it's actually for like a month, where every single day you're having multiple synchronistic, whoa, aha, what the fudge, life is so crazy, what is happening moments all day, every day, constantly, nonstop. Now, here's the thing about these synchronistic moments. The only time they actually stop, listen to me very carefully, is when you choose to make them stop. It's when you choose to stop giving them the time and attention that they need. The moment you feel like you've had enough subconsciously, unawarely, the moment you're like, okay, I'm good. I got it. Thanks for validating that everything's happening for me. Thanks for showing me this path. Like, it's all a very subconscious, unaware thought process that happens where you just kind of like detach from that room. You could always tap into that room, okay? You could always ask. There are times in life, a lot of times when these synchronistic moments happen is actually when you ask the universe unawarely, when you're kind of like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me find my path or tell me what to do. They will always tell you what to do. They're always going to like be like, yay. You have also guides like aside you, but the universe is going to be like, yay, they're asking for my help. They're paying attention. They want me to send them messages. The universe will always send back a message if they always do. 100%. They always do. If you're paying attention, you're going to see it. If you're not going to see it. What I mean by that is there's been times in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I need help. Please help me in the situation. And I like waited for an answer for like a few hours or a half a day. And the moment it just didn't happen, I just kind of like detached from that field and just carried on with life. And in that time where I just carried on with life and detached from it, they could have showed me the way, but I wasn't paying attention anymore. Okay, so that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people don't hold their attention span long enough to actually get the message through. They asked for it. They were so desperate for it. And that timeline, and that specific timeline, they're like, I can't live without this. Please help me. Like, tell me what to do. But by the time the universe like replied back to the text, to the universal text, that person was already tapped out. They weren't even paying attention anymore. They weren't waiting long enough to get that answer. And when it comes to the spiritual realm, 3D, 5D, higher dimensions, time doesn't really exist. Time doesn't really exist. Time only exists here in the 3D realm. It's something that like we human created in the physical realm. 4D, the fourth dimension, is all about time and space. And So the universe doesn't like, you are here in linear time being like, I'm waiting for a message. It's been an hour. Why isn't the universe reply back to my text, my request, my text, right? But like the universe doesn't operate on time, like linear time. It doesn't operate on like it's been 5 hours, it's been 10 hours. No, it's just sending the message in a perfectly aligned time. And if you're actually paying attention and tuned in and not tapped out, you're like waiting, you have that awareness level. Like, it's like, is it like walkie-talkie? I would put it like walkie-talkie, or that, that game that we used to play where you take like a tin can and you attach like a string to it. It's like a very 90s thing. You take a can and then you like poke a hole in it and then you attach a string to it and then you send it to your next door neighbor. And then they do the same thing and you can like put messages, like you can talk inside of the can and then it sends the messages and the other person can hear it if they're putting their head. It's like that, okay? It's like that. It's like walkie-talkie. If you sent the message to the other side, wait for them to reply back. Don't fucking turn off the walkie-talkie machine. Don't like throw away that can thing and be like, I'm not playing anymore. Like, wait for it to respond back. But if you are tapped in and you're just like, you just have this trust and faith and knowing that like the universe got your back, the universe and God, they're going to tell you, and you hold on to that, you will get an answer back. You will start to get the clues. The universe wants you to like utilize it. God, the universe, they want you to like talk to them. They want you to ask for guidance because the moment you do, they will help you, but they will not interfere if they're not being asked to. And so back to what I was saying, synchronistic moments can happen for as long as you want, truthfully. And what I've learned, okay, so here's like a fun tip about synchronistic moments. One thing that I've noticed that makes them like come back, stay longer, however you want to look at it, is when the universe nudges at you. When you've asked, I feel like there's also within this, there's two categories. There's when you ask the universe for help and it replies back. And then there's like when you're just like on the right path of life, the universe is like, yay. They're like sending you these like little like tokens. Not tokens. I want to say like breadcrumbs. Like, in those like movies when you were a kid or whatever, there would be the story about these kids that took a walk in the forest and they put like breadcrumbs along the way. That way they can like find the way back home, the path home. So now imagine, okay, there's a start point and this kid like puts these little pebbles on, his path through the forest. And then he gets to the end destination. The way life is that you're actually starting at the end destination. And your job is to get to the start point where you actually started. So you're starting at the end and you're trying to get to the start point. And so as you walk back through the forest, you're seeing all these like pebbles, right? These breadcrumbs that you left for yourself to the path. Whenever the universe is sending you like angel numbers like 444, 1111, or you're just seeing like a synchronistic moment or you're seeing a deja vu, it's those breadcrumbs that the universe is sending you. And they're like, yes, you're on the right path. Keep going. Yes, 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 yes. It comes in different formats. And I feel like over time, too, you kind of let the universe know, like, when you do this, I'm actually paying attention. So I like it in this form. There's also messages that you can get inside of your dream that can also be synchronistic with, like, the physical realm. There's different ways, right? There's, like, deja vu, the numbers, dreams. There's so many different ways. But one thing that I've noticed that prolongs, like, the continuous flow of synchronistic moments is when you have a synchronistic moment and you just stop. Like, can you guys hear it in my voice? Like, I'm smiling. I'm just like a little kid right now. Like, I'm giddy, like giddy, like happy, go lucky. I immediately enter like a childlike, I'm like embodying like a childlike version of myself when I talk about these things, because that is actually the vibration that is needed to create that. So when the universe actually sends you a synchronistic moment, I'm not going to lie to you, the worst thing you can do is be like, oh, that was random. Like, access denied. If you do that, they're going to be like, okay, never mind. He's not paying attention. I'll just save this for somebody else who actually is, or I'll just wait until they actually are paying attention. And access will be denied. You're not going to get any more synchronistic moments. However, if you actually want more synchronistic moments, you actually have to stop, acknowledge the synchronistic, like actually be amazed and shocked and like lit up and like have gratitude and be like, oh my God, like have that moment of like, holy shit, I just thought about this person and it just appeared inside of my life. Like I just thought about this person and all of a sudden I walked into the mall and they appeared and like I haven't thought about this person for 10 years. This is so crazy. Oh my God, that's so wild. I like have magic powers. Oh my God. It's like you don't need to have this vocalized conversation, but if you have this aha, whoa, oh my God, so grateful, you're just like lit up with excitement for whatever the fuck that you just like this crazy synchronistic moment where you just thought about somebody and then all of a sudden they just appeared. Like, whoa. The best thing you can do if you want more synchronistic moments is to acknowledge that this just happened. That's the number one thing. Acknowledge it. Have a moment to process it instead of being like, oh my God, that was so cool. Okay, I'm going to continue on with life. No, like if you do that, the synchronicistics will stop. If you pretend like it didn't happen, the synchronicistics will stop. If you want them to continue, have a moment where you just stop for a second. It can be like vocalized, or it can just be in your head, this wow, amazed moment where you acknowledge it. I promise you, I've decoded this. I fucking decoded this from so many experiences. I've played around in this field and I actually know what makes it stop and what makes it go. And I promise you that if you actually take the time to actually acknowledge this beautiful, profound, synchronistic moment that was like, whoa, you will keep on having more. Like if you just allow it to blow your mind and amaze you and be on that vibration of just very childlike, mind blown, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm so grateful. What the hell? This is so cool. This is the Kim Cohen version, right? Like you could have your own like levels of excitement. That's what it is. It's having an open, coherent heart and that level of excitement, that childlike level of excitement. You will keep manifesting more of it in your life. And it will keep going for as long as you want it and need it to. That's literally the secret. I just gave you guys a secret. This should have been like a masterclass. Like I can really break this down into in depth, but like this is like such a profound thing. Like if you actually listen to everything I just told you, and if you need to, listen to this podcast again. And if you need to, share this with someone who you know needs to hear this, okay? Share this podcast episode with somebody that you know that needs to hear this, because what I've actually said is profound. This is actually a way to keep the synchronicities going, to keep your life magical, like you're living in a fairy tale, like you're living your life like in a movie, like you have magic powers. Like I live for this shit. I'm a master at this shit. And the reason why I've even made this episode is because recently, in the last few days since starting this podcast, hold on, wait, time out. I'm going to go back again. I always have, like, the universe just says, no, you have to say this. So I'm just going to listen to the universe and just tell you what it says. Another thing that keeps the synchronicities going or just coming back into your life is when the universe nudges you to do something and then you do it, you will be rewarded. And it, like, a lot of times it like comes in this way of synchronistic moments that make you lucky-go-lucky, childlike, excited about life kind of a thing. Okay, so here's the thing. If you go back to my episode 1, where my introduction episode about this entire podcast, I talk about the fact that like I didn't actually care to do a podcast. I've never like cared for it. I wouldn't mind being on other people's podcasts. I have been on other people's podcasts. I would have preferred to do it that way. I know some people that have podcasts. This was not even my fucking idea. This was not my idea. People have asked me to do this for years. People have told me I need to do this for years. This was not my fucking idea. You know whose idea it was? It was everyone else's idea, and it was the God in the universe. They told me to do this. And I was like, what do you want from me? But they kept nudging at me. They told me in my dreams to do this. They persistently pushed me and told me to do this. And I'm like, fuck it. Okay, I hear you. I see you. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I don't know why you're making me do this. Not making. I want to like verbalize my words. Why are you telling me? I don't know why you're telling me to do this, but I'm just going to listen and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do what you're telling me to do. You're using me as like some sort of like a funnel, a tool to deliver a message, I suppose, because everything I'm saying anyways is from God and from the universe and from my higher self. So like, okay, it's all the downloads that I get from them. So I talked about in my introduction episode that like, this is beyond me. I literally said that like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm being told to do this. I started recording this podcast, and what started happening was crazy synchronistic moments started to happen that were profound and fucking crazy and make no sense and are just insane and magical and insane, good and bad. It's crazy. It's like when synchronistic moments happen, I feel like you like open the curtains, you like on like the veil is thin on like a different level, and you just like uncovered. You've opened the curtains, the theater curtains. Now you're seeing like what's happening behind this, like behind the scenes. You're tapped into this field, okay? And again, it's gonna last for as long as I want it to last, for as long as I'm willing to be tapped into this field. The moment I tap out of this field, it's gonna end. And a lot of times, here's what happens too. I wanna say this. Sometimes, actually the first time that I encountered that I had this ability to have like psychotic amounts of synchronistic moments per a day, it got to a time, so it started off with one or two things and I acknowledged it, and then it started to happen like 10 times a day, every day, and then it started to become like 15 times a day. And then I was like manifesting and doing crazy things on like massive scales. Like being friends with Hollywood celebrities and having a song on iTunes and manifesting my apartment in Malibu and like going on red carpets and having paparazzis chase me and manifesting my dream Mercedes convertible car that Britney Spears was driving, and I would pull up to clubs and like paparazzis would like chase me because they thought I was Britney Spears. And like I was like, so many crazy things were happening in my life from age like 18 to 21, like insane, until I made it stop. But at one point, the synchronistic moments were so out of fucking control. It was like manifestation and synchronistic moments. It was so out of control that like it got to a point where it started to scare me, and then I tapped out. And then I later on was like, wait, I miss it. Make it come back, but it wasn't coming back because I was too afraid. I was like, I wanted it to come back, but I was blocking it. But so what I want to say too is that a lot of times people want to have a lot of synchronistic moments in their life, but that sometimes it becomes really overwhelming and they tap out because it becomes scary. Like, it becomes wild as fuck. Like, if you're not prepared for it and you open that third eye and you're not prepared for it, like, shit will fucking blow your mind. And it can be, it's always your choice to decide to look at things from like faith and trust versus like fear and anxiety and be scared of it. But the moment you start tapping into the fear and anxiety, like that cord is going to be cut off. But what I want to say is that there's been different times in my life where I had like consecutive synchronistic like seasons. So sometimes it would last for a day, sometimes it would last for a week, sometimes it would last for a month. Sometimes these are all phases, like from age 18 to now to 39, so like in the last 21 years. And then there were times where days, weeks, months, years. It can literally last that long, like every fucking day. Every day you can have these moments multiple times a day. It's all up to you to choose and decide. But what's interesting is, and like whenever I actually like get put into this field, this like stream of like consciousness, synchronistic moments where I'm like so aware and everything's happening like just profoundly like freaking magic. I get really, really, really excited, which is the right vibration if you want it to keep going. Like I said, I get really, really, really excited that I'm like, yay, I tapped into it. It means that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. Oh my God, I'm tapped into this. And it gets to be really exciting and really fun. So anyways, here's the thing. The moment I started recording these podcast episodes, weird, synchronistic, crazy moments were happening, unfolding multiple times a day. And like quantum leaping, skipping time and space, like shit was not making sense, like, but also was. Everything has been like aligned and crazy, blowing my mind. Things that I haven't thought about in like 5 years all of a sudden are like coming into my sphere. Like, here is one of the synchronistic moments. I'll give you guys like a few random ones that I've just been I only shared this with my best friend, but like, for example, a few days ago, I think it was January 10th, because I said it in the podcast episode, I created Los Angeles fires episode on here, and I talked about how I used to live in Malibu, and then I talked about like what happened in 2020 and how I blew up on YouTube and how I had my YouTube channel hacked and I had all these subscribers and people were watching me and I was going viral and like all the things. And then like all these people were like forcefully, my channel got hacked and people were like being unsubscribed from my channel. That happened in 2020. We're in 2025. That happened literally 5 years ago. I shit you not. That day that I hit publish, so I recorded it that day, I hit publish that day. A few hours later, I go to my emails and I have a message from a random person, a fucking random person who commented on my YouTube video, a random YouTube video. And he's like, hey, I remember you. You were that girl in 2020 who talked about conspiracy theories and Q, and then you started to change your content, and I really miss your old content. And I've been wondering where you've been, and I just randomly stumbled upon your channel again after 5 years. What the fuck? I was like, whoa. I guess I haven't even talked about that in like forever and a half. I haven't even talked about like what happened in 2020 in my YouTube channel. Like, who the fuck talked about that? Also, fucking crazy is on that podcast episode, I talked about the fact that because of my hacking, I got shingles, and I never had shingles prior to that ever in my life. And because I was hacked and I was overly stimulated and overly stressed out, I had shingles. Well, then later on, I haven't talked about shingles in like 5 fucking years. Later on in the day, at night, before I went to sleep, I was scratching like a part of my body, and it was like burning. And I looked in the mirror. I got like my little face mirror, and I like put it to this area. And lo and behold, I had shingles. Yep. What the fuck? Are you kidding? No, really? Now, I don't know if these things are good or bad. They're neither or. They're just neutral. They just are. But it's like, what? I haven't talked about shingles in 5 years. I even forgot that I had it. And I looked in the mirror, and I actually know distinctly what it looks like. And it like makes sense because life has been really crazy and really overwhelming recently. And yeah, like it's like triggered by stress. That's when shingles comes back. Luckily for me, I've been through this once, so I know not to scratch it. And I actually have the lotion to help me fix it. And now I'm like actually aware of it. And so the moment that I was aware that I manifested shingles on my body, I was like, okay, now I know I need to like change my vibration and frequencies, and I need to slow down, and I need to do these certain things, and I need to eat this and this and this and that to actually make it go away. But I did put on that lotion, and like the day after, it just looked like massively different. And I'm so grateful that I have that lotion. But like that blew my mind. Then this is like a third thing. There used to be a girl, a beautiful spiritual soul that was in my life. This is all like in the same day, okay? Like the last couple of days, but the same day. There was a beautiful soul that was like in my life that used to live in my apartment complex in Los Angeles. She was a lot younger than me. She was probably like half my age, but she was an old soul. She had spiritual, magical powers. She had crazy supernatural powers. She was a famous actress, a child star. And we became really good friends because we were like friends on a soul-based level. And her mom like really loved it because she was homeschooled. And we would just like hang out and like go to like dinners, and I was like her friend, and I would just like take her out to movies and to dinner. We would just have like soulful conversation. She was like a teenager at the time, and I really loved her, and I would invite her to like Hollywood influencer events and red carpets and things because I just wanted her to have a magical life. She was such a beautiful soul, and she would teach me really cool spiritual things too, and I would teach her spiritual stuff. We would always do spiritual things. It was amazing. And then something had happened where I had shared something on Instagram stories that she did not like. We were really good friends for many years. And she unfollowed me, and then I like found out, and I was so sad and heartbroken. But she's like, that one thing triggers this trauma that I had, and I saw it on your stories, and it like triggered it. So it was like weird. But I like got really sad and hurt because I like really like mentored this beautiful soul. And regardless of her following me or unfollowing me, I just felt like she was just a beautiful human being, full of magic and starlight. And I always try to protect her, and I loved her. We had so much great times, but she unfollowed me, and then I got it. I was like, okay, maybe, friends come for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. Like, it was just the season. So I hadn't thought about this person in forever, since 2020. I hadn't thought about her. And I don't know what it was, but randomly out of nowhere at like 4 a.m, I think about her when I'm like in bed trying to go to sleep, and I'm like, wait, oh my God, I wonder how she is. Like, how has she been? Like, what is going on with her? She was on a famous show at the time, a famous TV show that was kind of like everywhere at the time. But then like as the years went by and the show had a few seasons, the show, like, I don't know, disappeared. But once upon a time, there were billboards everywhere about the show. And I just randomly thought about her in the middle of the night. And who knows, maybe from like a spiritual realm, like she was thinking about me and I tapped into that, and that's what made me think about her. Like, things like that also happened. But I had thought about her, and then I looked up the spelling to her name, that I could find her on Instagram, and just kind of look over her and be like, okay, she's doing good. I just want to make sure she was doing good, like a guardian angel kind of a thing from afar. And I did look at her Instagram page, and I looked at our last conversation, and I was like, that's so unfortunate that like that ended, but I understand how the universe works. And I saw what she's doing now, and she's not acting anymore. She's doing something else, which is more soulful. That made me happy because I didn't want her to be, Hollywood and things. Okay. So she's like a child star. I didn't want her to go in like a bad direction. So I was really happy that she's not really doing that much, that she's doing something else. I was just like, okay, good. Like, good. The universe has her back. I am always just want to make sure that she's happy and doing great in life. Anyways, I turned on the TV today, and like it was like on a random channel, and I don't even know how to explain this, but like it was like this very quick flash of a moment where the show that she was on, the show that made her famous, the show that's from like a couple years back. I think I met her in like 2017 or 2018, but so the show is like that old, and all of a sudden, like the show was recommended to me, and it was the biggest banner on my screen of my TV, and I was like astounded. I'm like, whoa. And like like it happened so fast, and I was clicking a different channel, and I was like, wait. Did I just see that? Like, did that just happen? What the fuck? I had to go back and be like, oh my God, that's insane. I haven't seen the show. I haven't thought of this girl. And all of a sudden I think about her at 4 a.m. I look her up. She's doing great. All of a sudden, like, her show, out of all the billions of freaking shows on Amazons and Netflix and all the freaking memberships of TV that I have, her show is just like the first thing I see when I wake up the moment I turned on the TV. Like, it was just insane. It was like beyond. And it was just insane. But it's like all these things have been happening to me recently, and I fucking love it. I love it. Even with the shingles, even with it all, like, it's okay. I got it. I'm entertained. I'm happy. The universe is speaking my language, and I'm fucking loving it. And if you listen to my manifestation episode, episode 4 on how to manifest the love of my life, when I met Ben, it was all about synchronicities. That's what actually made me pay attention. Otherwise, I would have just thought he's just this kid that randomly happened to be inside of an elevator at the same time as me, and, whatever, right? But the universe, when I met Ben, what made me pay attention is the universe knows the language that I speak in, and I speak in synchronicities, and that's how they chose to present Ben to me in that way. And it, like, I had to be paying attention. There was no way that, like, the universe was going to send me like that much levels of synchronistic moments and synchronicities with my soulmate, and I wasn't going to pay attention. Like, there was no motherfucking way. So it's really beautiful once you're tapped in, once you're actually open to being, in that field of synchronistic moments. And so I'm really excited, and I'm really happy that, like, what I just described, these 3 random moments, those are the top of my head. There's other things. I'm not going to list them right now. But it's like I can keep this going for as long as I choose to be tapped into. And you can too. So if you like tapped into the field of synchronistic moments and you want it to keep going, choose it, pay attention, don't let go of that vibration. Because the moment you do, it's kind of like you dropped the energy. However, what I can promise you and tell you about life is that I've had, like I said, like days when it came. There were like half a years, and then there were years where like synchronistic moments happened. Life can be really amazing and magical when synchronistic moments are continuously happening in your life. It's such a fun way to live. It's such a fun way to do life. It's such a fun thing to look forward to. It's like fun nudges and surprises from the universe. And I feel like it's from a future timeline. Like, I feel like it's from your higher self, just like an interstellar, where he's sending messages to his, like, future self from a different timeline and space. I really feel like the ending of Interstellar really depicts really well, like, where synchronistic moments come from, like how they're formulated. And every time I have synchronistic moments, I'm like, I definitely know, like, I place these breadcrumbs, like my higher self placed these breadcrumbs for myself in this lifetime to be like, girl, keep going. You're on the right path. Don't stop. And that's what I really think like all these synchronistic moments like actually mean. They're there to nudge at you and to like wink at you and be like, you're on the right path. Keep going. Don't stop. So I hope you enjoyed this episode about synchronistic moments and how they come about and how to keep them going and all the things. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and give it 5-star review. And also, if you loved this conversation, definitely take the time to check out my 6 months mentorship membership program called Energetic Codes, where we talk about manifestation, the mind, the spiritual realm, supernatural abilities, overcoming stressful, wild situation, shadow work, money, business, boss babe, anything spiritual. If you want to join a community of just beautiful, powerful women, I am getting ready to relaunch Energetic Codes, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. And also on the same topic, because I do feel like it fits, I also have a masterclass called Money Magnet, where we learn how to manifest the fuck out of money. So if you want to check that out, I'm also leaving in the show notes. And I love you guys. Have a great day.